Hello, my friends. I am truly pumped to finally discuss a certain film that you all know means a lot to me. A film that has stood the test of time and has gone down as a classic. A movie that I have a million things to say about. I'm of course referring to none other than WALL-E. WALL-E is Pixar's ninth film and was released in 2008. It was directed by Andrew Stanton and had a minuscule cast, more on that later. The movie is set far into the future, where humanity has let the Earth become so polluted with garbage that it's basically become uninhabitable, causing megacorporation by and large
is your superstore. We got all you need.
Just cut it off, will you?
to create massive starliners that allow passengers to peacefully cruise through the solar system while WALL-E units clean up the planet. Only thing is, shit hits the fan. Humanity is forced to remain in space as all the robots die out, until only one dirty old robot is left, our WALL-E. He keeps on doing what he was built for, but he's got a personality. He finds and gathers interesting items, he looks after a pet cockroach, he's a hopeless romantic, and discovers a living plant. One day, a rocket descends from the skies, bringing a clean, shiny robot named Eve into WALL-E's life. As she looks around searching for signs of life, WALL-E tries his best to connect with her. He eventually succeeds, only for her programming to lock her down when he shows her the plant. When Eve gets taken away by the ship, WALL-E heads off into space after her until they reach the Axiom, where it becomes a grand adventure for WALL-E as he tries his best to stay with Eve, all while humanity gets a chance to return home. Despite it being such a straightforward tale of love, WALL-E has such a tremendous sense of scale. All the world building and backstory is subtly put in there to add layers to the story, and it makes the experience of watching this movie feel substantial, yet it still provides so much nuance to the love between our main characters that it can end up leaving you in tears. WALL-E is one of Pixar's most unique films, and for multiple reasons, the most obvious of which is just how little talking there is. While there is dialogue, exposition, and such in later scenes with the humans, so much of the film relies on little sound effects and body language to tell its narrative. And miraculously, it works wonders. The fact that the robots say so little makes them far more interesting. It allows you to just think for yourself rather than have everything spelt out for you. It's a perfect showcase of show, don't tell. A moment that's always stuck out to me is when WALL-E rocks himself to sleep. Of course, it says so much about him, but as for why it makes me cry, yeah, I don't know why. Not a single clue in the world. And that ending is wonderful. WALL-E's death fake-out and comeback feels earned and actually makes a lot of sense. For once, it's not his physical self that died, it was the WALL-E we knew and loved that was gone. And then for his memory to kick back in, realizing that he's holding Eve's hand, man, it hits you right in the feels. Now I've gotta talk about the animation. It still looks gorgeous. The garbage-covered Earth scenes feel as barren and messy as they should be, the Axiom as a whole feels sleek and high-tech, and need I go on about how beautiful space is in this? Just look at it. The level of detail is astounding, like all the prop Easter eggs in WALL-E's home, or the spinning lights underneath Eve's head. I tell you, every time I rewatch this movie, I find something new. There's even small moments where the camera actually struggles to focus on something, which just makes it feel all the more realistic and grounded. The effects and lighting add so much atmosphere to the whole picture. The most important aspects of all, though, are the character designs and their movements. This is what I think elevates the film to iconic status. WALL-E's design in particular has so much thought put into it. From his cubical body, to his binocular eyes, to his lack of elbows, he's one of the most expressive robots I've seen in a movie. And I love the contrast between him and Eve. As the creators said, WALL-E is a rusty tractor, while Eve is a streamlined Mercedes. The other bots are pretty great too. While some of them sort of blend together, there was clearly lots of consideration put into what each of their purpose would be. Honestly, I praise the filmmakers for deciding not to give them legs, noses, mouths, etc. It allows them to stand out more and feel like actual machines. And their little screens for eyes are so emotive, which leads me to their movement. The robots are limited in the way they move, which keeps the realism in check while still allowing them to express themselves. Even the robots that noticeably don't have eyes feel so lively thanks to their gesturing and bobbing. The humans, despite their obvious weight gain, don't feel monstrous or uncanny. They still come off as very animated, which doesn't sound surprising, but may I remind you of what they could have looked like? It could have been so much worse. There are little mistakes here and there you can point out, like how some of the robots clip through each other, or even how a few of them ended up not getting textured and colored. But all of it is blink and you'll miss it, hidden in the background, hard to notice. Overall, WALL-E's animation is still stunning. Now I'd like to run down the characters. Firstly, our title man himself, WALL-E, is a curious little sweetheart. His undying love for that floating egg is heartwarming, but it's his struggles that make us want to root for him. He'll crush himself to pieces if it means keeping the holodetector open just a bit longer. He might not have many huge flaws, but his clumsiness and sometimes lack of confidence makes him endearing and relatable. And I love how he ends up affecting everyone he meets on his journey, even if unintentionally. He's surely one of Pixar's best characters, and I challenge anyone to try to tell me he's annoying. And hey, he collects stuff, like me. Or at least I try. Eve is pretty great too. It's such a great moment seeing her discover just how much Wally Mart loved and cared for her. And then at the end with her trying her best to trigger his memory, showing him the items that fascinated her to begin with. Man, Hal is adorable and super loyal. I like Mary and John Ratzenberger for how they connect with each other. And dang, I love the captain. His awakening and stance against Otto is pretty awesome. And I cannot stress enough just how much I, my father, and so on love this scene.
I can't just sit here and do nothing. That's all I've ever done. That's all anyone in this blasted ship has ever done. Nothing!
On the Axiom, you will survive.
I don't want to survive! I want to live!
And yes, I know it looks like he's flipping the bird here. He's not. Oh, and minor note. I cannot even begin to tell you just how long it took me to realize that Sigourney Weaver played the ship's computer. Yeah, I know I'm deaf. I'd better mention Otto now, as he's probably the weakest character in the film, yet I don't mind him. As many have stated, he's just an obstacle following his programming, instead of a maniacal genius with his own motivations. Which does make him less intimidating or interesting, and yeah, I do think it would have been cooler if he had more personality. But even then, I think he served his purpose well enough. Mo is my favorite individual character in WALL-E, if you somehow couldn't tell by now. Yes, that old Rogue Robot ranking list is outdated, how shocking. Mo is an irritable little buzzbox who cleans surfaces and chews bubblegum, and he's all out of gum. Wait, how does he even chew the gum? Anyways, I find him super cute, expressive, and hilarious. My intent is that when people recognize me or him, they'll associate and connect the two of us together. Me and him are one and the same, even if it doesn't seem like it. And, finally, of course, last but not least, there's my dearest children, the Rogue Robots. I adore these malfunctioning weirdos. I've had an obsession with analyzing every last bit of them, panel to prod, ever since I was a mini-mo, and I passionately appreciate and care about every last one of them. From major players like Brella to Purdy, to minor backgrounders, from Serve to Grabby to whatever this guy's name is. Despite how small of a role most of them had, they leave an impact on the story and on the audience, or at least I know they did on me. With all their weirdness and insane antics, these characters form a family to me. Honestly, my only issue with WALL-E is simply that the remainder of these rejects never showed up again at the end. They run past the Stewarts and then they're gone, but that's really a personal wish rather than a nitpick. Though I do pray that one day we'll get a short film about the remaining Rogue Robots on Disney Plus or something. Regardless, I love these characters so much and they'll forever hold a special place in my heart and in my videos. They deserve it. The score by Thomas Newman is phenomenal. It seriously gives me goosebumps. It's catchy, echoey, and serene. I love listening to it all the time. And there are just so many other little things I love about this movie. The Hello Dolly references and usage of songs like La Vie en Rose, etc. feel very personal. The many biblical and metaphorical references presented are pretty thought-provoking. The Axiom is a You know what? I'm just gonna let her say it.
The Axiom is a second-generation General Dynamics Type 3 hull configuration made of a patented nuclear-embedded positronium alloy.
Yeah, I think Pixar did a great job with this thing. I love it inside and out. What can I say? I'm a man of ships. Random thing to mention, but something that still baffles me to this day, is simply how the Axiom manages to produce so many non-recyclable parts and scrap that end up in the deepest, darkest garbage areas of the ship. There are like straight up robot pieces and stuff. At this rate, how hasn't the ship run out of metal resources and everything up above yet? There's probably some explanation for all this that I'm missing though, and it certainly doesn't take away anything from the film in terms of quality. When this film came out, it did great at the box office, if a bit less than Pixar's regular returns, and critics and audiences fell in love with it, for the most part. As many of you are aware, this film does have a bit of controversy, with all the commentary on corporatism and environmental decay, and the choice of having the humans as overweight and glued to screens. It's not surprising that this would rub some people the wrong way, but as Andrew himself put it, most of that was pushed to the side so the movie would stay focused on what it's truly about. A love story between two unlikely robots who end up saving humanity. Plus, he doesn't push an over-the-top message with it either. The closest we get is just appreciating those around us and caring for our home. Which was the right call. Okay, trivia time. By and large started as just a frozen yogurt company. The A in WALA stands for Axiom Class. The humans were at one point planned to be gelatinous blobs, but it was scrapped for being far too weird. Otto gets progressively closer to the captain in each picture on the wall. Speaking of which, the film's trailer makes you think that the captain will be the villain, which is a nice trick on the audience. Also in the trailers, almost all the rogue robots had blue eyes. Yeah, I don't know either. Not long after this movie, a short was released called Bernie, which is about the misfortunes of that welding robot who got locked outside while just trying to do his job. I like this short, and I think it's pretty novel that they came up with a story for such a random, tertiary character, and I love Bernie himself. I find him immensely hilarious and relatable. My only issue with the short is just how much it sacrifices continuity with the actual film. So many things just don't line up, with both locations and timing, but whatever. I've also gotta praise all the by and large commercials they made for this movie, along with the Meet the Bots bonus features. Always nice to learn some lore and info on the characters. I also feel the need to mention some great videos on this movie. There's plenty of expected stuff, like these fantastic video essays, but I thank God for the Cinema Wins WALL-E 2-parter. Foreshadowing. And Animat actually did a really great review on this movie that I recommend go checking out. Speaking of Matt's, I have indeed seen MatPat's video, or videos, and while it may be imperfect or painful to believe, there is a lot of disturbingly accurate stuff here. Oh, and the Rum Chum's classic YTP Robots on Defective Battery Acid is still a riot. On my latest rewatch of this movie, I was sniffling and welling up multiple times, mostly for one particular reason. I keep making jokes about it, but I'll just come out and say it. WALL-E is a film I personally connect with so much because of its main theme, love. I mean, I give and receive love with people in my day-to-day life, but deep, romantic, sexual love is something I so badly wish I could experience with someone someday. So WALL-E always hits right at home for me, with its main character striking my chords. Literally, I mean, look at me, I've got chords and stuff. Honestly, it's no surprise that a feature about love and robots is one of my favorite films of all time. WALL-E is undoubtedly a masterpiece. Its game-changing uniqueness, intriguing messages, simple story, breathtaking animation, majestic soundtrack, good humor, and unforgettable characters all come together to form a top-tier movie for me. It's an achievement by Pixar that deserves all the recognition and discussion it gets. I cannot thank everyone involved with it enough, and the endless supply of memories I've had with this film will live on forever. My channel, my life even, would not be the same without our one and only WALL-E. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.